Good morning. This is TCR, TroyCommunityRadio.com. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN. Time now for the Mayor's Report, and with us this morning, Mayor Michael Beamish.
Well, happy Saturday to everyone today, including you, Clint, and David, and all those listeners out there.
Hey, a lot of things happened in Troy last week. A lot of possibilities for people to volunteer, and they did.
Well, you know, we talked the week before about volunteerism, and what makes Troy so special is the people. And boy, they came out in numbers this past week. We had, obviously, Troy Main Street had a flower planting time downtown on Saturday morning, and I understand a lot of volunteers came out, and it didn't take long to get those flowers planted and around town.
They look great.
Oh, they do, and it just adds the ambiance of the downtown, and we've talked about that all the time. But we also had many volunteers that take place at the Troy Strawberry Festival soccer tournament. That was where we had close to 300 teams coming in. That provides a big economic benefit to not only Troy but Miami County. But it takes a lot of people to make that happen, and I want to give a shout out to the Pappases. They chair that event and do a wonderful job, and it takes a lot of energy and effort to make that happen, and a lot of people to make that tournament a success. And then the junior golf tournament, another Troy Strawberry Festival activity, had a number of junior participants, and it also had a lot of people out there to cheer them on. And so those were just some of the events that took place. And the Mayor's Float.
Well, last Friday it got postponed due to rain.
So this is aired on Saturday. We did have a rain date of May 25th. We hope we all had a nice leisurely trip down the Great Miami and enjoyed the second annual Mayor's Float that started at Treasure Island, finished at Treasure Island. And so we hope that took place, because we had a lot of people signed up for that event.
Sounds like it would be a lot of fun. Get out on the canoe. Adventures on the Great Miami are providing the flotation devices.
Oh, they're great. Adventures on the Great Miami, and Chris Jackson does a wonderful job in promoting our Treasure Island riverfront and all the activities. And let's hope the weather permitted us to have a nice leisurely float.
Well, another thing we can talk about, it started out just totally bad news, and now it has turned to our favor. Sixth grade trip. They're off to D.C.
Well, they should be back by now, according to the date of Saturday. They had to come back a day early, but let's face it, it didn't look good.
It wasn't going to happen.
And we had another tour company step up to the plate. Really was charitable in their efforts. And then we had a lot of support from the community again.
Also the Troy Foundation.
The Troy Foundation deserves a lot of credit, but there were a lot of individual sponsors, and that trip went off. They did have to come back a day early. So on Friday, on the 25th, they had a wreath ceremony. They brought all the sixth graders to Veterans Memorial Park in Riverside and placed a wreath as one of their culminating activities to observe Memorial Day.
Now, something else that's coming up here in the future, and this is with our very own Bill McIntosh and his wife, Kathy McIntosh. Troy Civic Band on the 28th have an event.
That is a Monday, and that again will be at Treasure Island Park. That's the home of the Troy Community Band, as the way I refer to it. And they will be honoring our veterans with a concert, but they are dedicating that performance to their narrator for many years, and it's dedicated to Kyle DeVilbus, who passed away this past year. And so it has a dual role in that concert, one to dedicate the concert, but also to celebrate and honor the veterans.
All right. Did have council this past week.
We did have council. We had 4 resolutions that council looked at, and we also had 4 ordinances. And I just go over it very quickly. One of the ordinance was to authorize a design for Riverside Drive, and we're not talking about all of Riverside Drive. We're basically talking from the cemetery entrance to Orchard Drive, that area, and looking at redesigning that area. And it'll probably be done in phases, much like we do for McCaig Avenue. And that passed 9-0 to move forward with that. Also put in application for the allocation of community development block grant funds. These are funds that we receive outside, but we're able to keep those funds circulating so that we can provide loans to different entities or for different projects. And that application for an annual allocation of $150,000 was passed by council 9-0. We did have another looking at 2018 community development block grants for infrastructure funds. Now they're separate because we're talking about doing some infrastructure in the Atlantic Avenue area of town, and that's $500,000, and that would be for mainly water main replacement project infrastructure. Continuing with community development block grant funds, we wanted to also use $120,000 of our funding source to assist Lincoln Community Center, and that was an emergency to do some projects there at Lincoln Community Center. And again, all these passed unanimously by council last evening. That was our resolutions. And then ordinances. One ordinances that was in its 4th reading. It's been a lot of discussion, a lot of concerns, and that's the final plat of Section 6 and 7 of the Stonebridge Meadows PD and the dedication of right-of-way. The council really looked at that a lot. And kept looking at it, trying to look at ways to improve some of the concerns that residents have out there. And that also passed last night on its 4th reading. Another 2 ordinances that moved to 2nd readings includes the small cell facilities and wireless support structures. That this is tied in with the Ohio Assembly's new regulations that they put forth, and how we could do our own thing with home rule. And that did move because there's more discussion on that. It will be asked to be emergency because of timing issues with state mandates, but that'll go to a 2nd reading and be done, I think, at the June 4th council meeting. There also was a public hearing scheduled for June 4th, and that is to look at the Crescent Drive area going from an office commercial to a multiple family residential district, and that'll be in a public hearing, and that moved to a 2nd reading. And then the final thing is something we're loved dearly, and that is the Troy Strawberry Festival.
Oh, yes.
And having the contractual agreement for the 2018 Troy Strawberry Festival, and obviously that needed to be an emergency because
the festival's what, 2 weeks away,
and it'll come up before the next council meeting.
It's already coming up quicker than what. It's almost like we're being blindsided by it.
We talked about that before this program, and a lot of the activities really snowball, and I don't want to use the word snowballing, but they have come up quickly.
Watch your tongue.
Yeah, but it kicks off our summer season, and everybody knows the Troy Strawberry Festival is the first weekend in June. So on June 1st, we will have Friday night activities, and this year it's moved to Treasure Island Park for many of those activities, if not all the Friday night activities. Then there'll be Saturday and Sunday of the Troy Strawberry Festival, June 2nd and 3rd. So it'll be a time when you'll see a lot of hubbub of activity, getting prepared for that. And again, I'll mention, come out May 28th on Monday evening at 7 o'clock at Treasure Island at the amphitheater, where we can hear the Troy Community Band under the direction of Bill and Kathy McIntosh.
All right. One other thing I want to bring up that we can talk about real quick, Prouty Plaza. In full swing, we saw the showmobile out there this past week with the school kids performing at lunch.
Another thing that crept up on us,
Yeah.
That usually kicks off our Prouty Plaza concert season.
Yeah,
this
is
the
like
high school, junior high students coming down
the end of the
performing at
school
lunch.
year.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much the last time that the kids are performing.
Absolutely. So lots of things going on, but what that signals to everybody is now we have a whole lot of activity going to keep us all busy in the summer months.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to add this morning, Mayor?
It's always a pleasure to talk about our downtown, the concert series, Treasure Island, the riverfront, and all those activities, because it brings together people of all ages, which is something dear to my heart, that we have something in our Troy community where people can come regardless of their age and sit back and enjoy.
Well, not just something. We've got everything. There is something that can be going on at Treasure Island, stuff on Prouty Plaza. We've got Hobart Arena. There's Hainer. There is something happening all over this town all summer long. So if you can't find anything to do and you're got summer vacation because you're not in school, get on your bike. We've got miles and miles of bike path that you can get out.
It's a wellness activity that we offer as well. And gosh, thanks, Clint, for bringing that up as well.
And also, you have the bike park there out at, that's at Duke, correct?
Yes.
So the kids can go out there and ride too.
Yeah, we have a lot of opportunities.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This has been the Mayor's Report. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN.